when you get triggered, you now see them as a big grizzly bear. 5 tips for navigating difficult conversations with your partner. We've all had those moments where we've gone, uh-oh, here we go. Okay, we have to talk about this thing. How are we going to bring it up? How's it going to go? It's been a tricky subject for us. And you get nervous, and then you have trouble delivering it, and then it actually creates the issue that you were thinking because you weren't sure how to bring it up. All of that. I get it. But there's a few tips that you can use to help those conversations go more smoothly. And it can be helpful if you and your partner are on the same page about these, so you guys can pick up on each other's cues and you know when your partner is approaching you with a difficult subject. And it may be difficult because it's difficult between the two of you, or it's just difficult for your partner to express themselves. So if you guys are on the same page and are playing by the same rules, you're going to be better able to pick up on when your partner is coming to you with something, so you can manage your feelings, be present, do all the things we're going to talk about today to help these conversations go smoother, because you guys are in this together. You guys have to support each other, take care of each other. So the more you guys are on the same page about communication, the better it's going to go. Hey there, I'm Lauren. I'm a licensed therapist specializing in sex and relationship therapy. Number 1, the first tip is to bookend the conversation with physical contact. Initiating and ending challenging discussions with physical contact can significantly impact the conversation's tone and the association that it has in your brain. And this is a really important piece because you are reminding your nervous system that this is a safe person, even if the conversation is difficult, because your brain doesn't know the difference between a physical threat and an emotional threat. So if there's an emotional threat between you and your partner or a disconnection, your brain is going to send dangerous signals. I think of this like you normally see your partner as like this big fluffy teddy bear, but when you get triggered into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response, you now see them as a big grizzly bear. So reminding yourself, your nervous system, this person is safe. Like you're not going to go and hug a grizzly bear. So if you have some physical contact with them, it's going to remind your brain, remind your nervous system, this person is safe. We're in this together. Okay, so this might be something like a lingering hug, a kiss, holding hands together. Now, I want to caveat this though, in knowing that sometimes physical contact is difficult for people for a variety of reasons, how they grew up, trauma. So you can make this whatever works for you. Sometimes just sitting next to your partner, even if you aren't actually touching or getting as close to them as feels comfortable, whatever works for you, because you don't want the physical contact to trigger you more. So part of this is knowing yourself, but being able to do whatever helps you remind yourself that this person is safe. This is the person to turn to, and even if the conversation was hard, they are still a safe person. Number 2 is using we language. Using we language throughout the conversation is going to set the tone for collaboration. It reminds each of you that you are a team working to solve this issue together rather than fighting against each other. It really primes your brain for teamwork, emphasizing that you guys are on the same side, wanting the same thing, and that the goal is connection and hearing each other, not winning. Using we helps soften and lower defenses. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't ever use I or you, but it's really about this mindset that we're in a team together, solving this issue together. So how do I approach that? So it's really more the mindset than anything, and helping you think about how often and how you're using I and you, because if you're going, you do this, you do that, you, immediately your partner is going to go on the defensive, and it's you against them. Number 3, focus on feelings, not content. And this is one of the most difficult things I find for couples to do, because in the midst of a difficult conversation, it's easy to get caught up in the content of, you did this, no, you did that, I did this, who's right, who's wrong, that didn't happen, this happened, because it's safer to be there rather than the vulnerability. But this discussion, this content spiral is not going to get you anywhere. It's really only going to create defensiveness and disconnection. So instead, consistently redirect to focus on emotions and why this matters. So share how you feel about the content. What happened isn't as important as how you feel about it, because everybody's going to experience something differently. We could watch or experience the same thing, and I could have a big emotional reaction, and for you, it's just like very neutral. So what matters more is how I feel about it, why it matters to me, and what I'm trying to communicate to my partner. So encourage your partner to do the same. Focus on the feelings. You want to connect on an emotional level, because that's going to allow for a deeper understanding of each other's perspective, fosters empathy, creates really a more supportive environment. And really, most of the time, we just want to feel heard and understood by our partner. And if there is something that actually requires problem solving, we're going to be more amped to do that and open to it if we feel heard and understood first. So the default should always be feelings, reflection, validation first, and then even assess if you need problem solving and then going there if you need it. Number 4, take breaks when needed and practice contained breaks. So when your emotions are running high, it's really important to recognize when a break is necessary. This is also important when to weave in that we conversation. You could go, you need a break, you need to calm down. Ooh, that's just gonna spark things off. Versus going, we need to take a break. We're struggling to hear each other. This will help us work together if we take a break. It's okay to take breaks. Allow yourself a moment to regroup, manage your emotions, have some quiet reflection, because this helps your higher functioning part of your brain, this part, your prefrontal cortex, stay online or come back online if it's already gone offline and you've gone to your amygdala, that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn response. So you can do this sometimes by staying in the same room, just taking a moment to breathe, sometimes breathe together, going for a walk together. Sometimes you're going to actually need some physical space and needing to leave the room or take a longer extended period of time. This is why it's really important to contain the break, where you're going to first recognize either that we need to take a break, we're struggling to hear each other, or I'm feeling activated, I need to take some time because I'm having trouble hearing you and it's really important for me to hear you, so I need a little bit of space. Now that can feel like abandonment to some people when really it's going to be the best thing for you guys. So you want to contain that. And by containment, I mean acknowledging why you're taking the break. We're struggling with this. I want to hear you. I want us to hear each other, and I need some space. I need to take 20 minutes, an hour, and we'll come back to this in an hour tomorrow morning, whenever it is. And then you actually have to come back to it. So that contains for the partner who might feel a little more anxious or worried about taking a break, but also honors the partner who needs a little bit of space. Now, the key is you have to come back to it, because if you do this and you don't come back to it, it's going to build distrust that you guys aren't actually going to talk about things. Number 5, reflect and validate before responding. You want to practice active listening by reflecting on what you hear your partner saying before you respond. This does a few things. It requires you to stay present and really listen to your partner rather than formulating your own response or picking apart why you think they're wrong. It really requires you to be present and listen to your partner. Now, when you reflect back to them, when you are telling them, this is what I hear you saying, what I understand you to mean is XYZ. This does a few things. It lets your partner feel heard, lets them know you're trying to understand them from their perspective. And it also is a check to make sure you're actually understanding what they want to convey, because we all take in information through our own filters, our own biases, our own triggers, our own narratives, all of that. So we can kind of twist in our head what we're hearing, and it may not be what our partner is intending to tell us. So again, this pauses you guys, slows you down, gets you out of the content, helps your partner feel heard, helps make sure you're actually hearing what they're trying to tell you. This is really an important piece. Now, it can be really difficult because it requires trust, that if I'm going to slow down and hear you and reflect back to you, that I trust that you're going to do the same for me, because it's a bit of a dance. I'm hearing you, you're hearing me, we're going back and forth, because if I take the opportunity to reflect back to you and instead I inject my own opinions and thoughts, it's just going to send you into a spiral of not feeling heard, of defensiveness, of disconnection. And really, we want this conversation to be productive. So the flat rule is you reflect and or validate. Validate, it can be a little step up skill, but if you can do that, it's going to be great. But if not, if you can at least reflect back, doing that before you ever respond. And it can be helpful to add in some questions. This is what I hear you saying. I think I understand you. Do you mean XYZ? Is that right? Is there anything I'm missing? Is there anything you want to add or clarify? And then sometimes asking, do you feel heard? Is it okay if I share what I'm feeling right now? And then you guys are, again, collaboratively working to have this communication together. Those are my 5 tips for difficult conversations. If you and your partner watch this together, integrate it together, again, it's going to help you guys notice and pick out when either of you are doing these things to help you, again, be on the same page. You're on the same team. So you guys need to work like teammates in your communication.